What's going on, guys? Today we're going to go over another set of loadouts that have zero recoil, this time being all ARs, and I mean they legit don't move. I'm going to be putting guns from every version of Warzone simply because there's a couple that are still very viable in the current meta and even can compete with the top weapons, so I felt like they needed to be added in this list, so you guys can try them out and see if they work for you. My name is LJ, and welcome to Battle Royale Guides. Before I start, I want to say this top 5 video is going to be a part of a 3-part series. Today we're going over ARs with zero recoil, then we will do SMGs, and then after that LMGs. So if you guys haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss those uploads. I'll be testing all the guns right before we upload as well to make sure the video is relevant as possible, and you guys will find only the best loadouts in these videos, and every time we get a new update to the game, I'll revisit some of the builds. So yeah, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. Anyways, let's get right into it. Started off at number 5, we got the Cooper Carbine. I switched the build up from the last time we had this in a video, so I had to add it to the list, and trust me when I say this new build is way better than the last one. Everything about this build just feels way better and much smoother, and even with the longer range scope on it, it just doesn't move at all. As for the attachments, we got the MX silencer, 22-inch Cooper custom barrel, SVT 40 PU scope 3 to 6 times, Cooper 45 RS stock, M1930 strife angled foregrip, 9mm 60 round drum, lengthened ammo, polymer grip, and then for the perks we're running tight grip and fully loaded. At first I was a little skeptical about putting the 3 to 6 times scope on this gun because I felt like the fire rate would make it way too bouncy, but for real, this thing is amazing, and that extra zoom makes it insane for long range engagements. It makes it much easier to see enemies from far away. Like, I have good vision, but this new Caldera map has me straining my eyes to see enemies, and let me tell you, this scope helps a ton. In previous games I always kind of stayed away from longer range scopes, but this one is definitely an exception. Very nice, so if you haven't tried it already, give it a go and let me know if you like it. All right, let's run it back to Cold War real quick. For number 4, we got the C58. This one kind of snuck up on me because after Vanguard dropped, I just thought every other gun was useless compared to all the new guns. Because like back when Cold War dropped, the meta was dominated by Cold War guns and you couldn't really use anything else. But this time it's a little different. The C58 might be top 3 out of all the guns we have right now when it comes to an AR. This thing doesn't move at all and does a ton of damage. And when you hit headshots, absolutely insane. Probably one of my favorite guns to use again, and it doesn't have an insanely fast fire rate, so you don't really drill through ammo like crazy. Overall, just a very good gun. As for the attachments, we got the agency suppressor, 18.5-inch task force barrel, axial arms 3 times, field agent grip, and the 45 round drum. And obviously this is old news, but I'm using the 45 round drum because it gives you more ammo with no cons to ADS speed, where the bigger mags take away from your ADS, and it's not really worth the trade-off in my opinion. It makes it so slow you'll get outgunned a lot if you ADS at the same time as an enemy. So yeah, just run the 45 round drum. And one thing to note about this gun, I was seeing some stuff on Twitter about the pick rate and the overall KD, and the C58 has the highest KD in Warzone, which is kind of interesting. So it really makes you think, is this currently the best gun? Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because honestly, I think this is going to be my new go-to gun until we see some kind of update. Back to the basics for number 3 with the STG. Like I said in previous videos, this was my go-to, and even though that's changed since I've been using the C58 and Cooper a lot more, this is still a very solid gun and can absolutely beam. Honestly, now it's one of those guns I go to if I'm having a bad day in Caldera and need a change. It's super reliable, does a ton of damage, so it's definitely worth having in your class setups. The build hasn't changed, but I'll go over it again just for those of you that are new here. F8 stabilizer, VDD 760mm 05B barrel, G16 2.5x scope, VDD 34S weighted stock, M1941 hand stop, 8mm Kurz 60 round drums, lengthened ammo, polymer grip, and then for the perks running vital and on hand. I've tested a few other builds for the STG, but I keep coming back to this one simply because it feels the best to me. The recoil is very controllable and it can compete with the best at all ranges. It has a very similar fire rate to the C58, so it feels really good. I've always been a fan of the slower fire rate ARs. I just feel like they're way more consistent and easier to use for me. So if you're the same way, this is definitely a good choice for you. And like I said, I've tested a lot of different builds for this, but this is the best one I've come up with. So put this in your class setups and let me know how it goes for you. All right, this one I've been missing. I can honestly say the season I missed most was when the GROW dropped and was meta for a long time. Warzone really hasn't felt the same since. I think that was when I was playing the most Warzone, streaming like 15 hours a day, grinding with the GROW. And I picked it up again recently, and honestly, it felt good. Obviously, it ain't close to what it used to be, but I was frying when I was using it, so I tried it out for a few hours, and it definitely felt like it had a spot on this list. The recoil is still very low compared to other guns in this game right now, and the damage didn't feel bad at all. Now, I want to say I'm an iron sight lover, and the GROW has the best iron sight I've ever seen in any game, so the build doesn't have a scope, but you can definitely swap out the rear grip for the T-Pose VLK 3 times, but the attachments I got on this thing are the monolithic suppressor, Tempest 26.4-inch Archangel barrel, Commando foregrip, 60-round mags, and the FTAC R89 rubber grip. So basically this build is the same as the old meta build back in the day when it was insane, but it's still really good. I think I've seen people swap out the rear grip for either a scope or a tac laser, but this one was the one I used the most. So you can try out the different variations of it, but this one is the one I recommend. All right, at number 1, the M13. Now hear me out here. The M13 was my favorite back in the day before Cold War and Vanguard came out. The thing just doesn't move. I saw a few people running around with it again and decided to try it out, and it was just like what I remembered. This thing probably moves the least out of all these, but it does do a little less damage than the others. So you got to make sure that what you're 1, hitting your shots, and 2, aiming for the head. Otherwise, it kind of seems like a pea shooter, but this video is for ARs with zero recoil, so I had to add it. Now this is another iron sight build because that's what I like, but you can swap out the rear grip for a scope if you want, but this is the build I got for it. The monolithic suppressor, Tempest marksman barrel, Commando foregrip, 60-round mags, and rubberized grip tape. So this build is definitely not going to be everyone's cup of tea. You got to be on point to make it work, because even though it has like no recoil at all, it doesn't do the damage that other guns do, and it shoots fast. So like I said, you got to be aiming at the head to down people quick. But if you can do that, this thing is a beam and always has been. I use this when I'm trying to have fun and give myself a challenge, but it's by no means a gun I'd use in a tournament or anything. If we're talking about a tournament, I'd go with the C58 or Cooper, but this M13 is still fun and worth bringing out again. Okay, now that we went over all the best ARs with no recoil, let's talk about a couple SMG builds you can run with them. I'm gonna go over their attachments really quick, so if you need to, you can pause on the video and copy them. First up, we got the STEN. We got the recoil booster, SA 65mm rapid barrel, SA 32S iron sight, Gawain para stock, Carver foregrip, 7.62 32-round mags, lengthened ammo, grooved grip, acrobatic, and quick. Next up, you could use the MP40. We're using the recoil booster, 317mm barrel, Krausnik ISOM-1 iron sight, but you could use the slate reflector if you want that. Remove stock, SMLE pistol grip, 7.62 Gorenko 45-round mags, incendiary ammo, polymer grip, and for the perks, we're running momentum and quick. And for the third, you can try the WELGUN, and the build I'm using for that is the recoil booster, 122mm Gawain short barrel, slate reflector, Gawain skeletal stock, skeletal underbarrel, 9mm 64-round mags, lengthened ammo, polymer grip, and then with the perks, we're using acrobatic and quick on that as well. Those are the top 3 SMGs to pair with any of these ARs, and in my opinion are the best at the moment. The MP40 is still at the top, but that WELGUN, it's something else. It's super strong and it has more ammo and insane mobility, so it's definitely worth the try. And then the STEN is my favorite for duos and trios, but what you end up using is up to you at the end of the day. They're all 3 really strong, so it's just what ends up feeling the best for you. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit the video with a thumbs up. And also, like I said at the beginning of the video, this is the start of a 3-part series where we're going to go over all the best guns in each class with no recoil. So if you don't want to miss those uploads, make sure to subscribe. And also, like I've been saying in previous videos, if you want to ask me questions directly, you can catch some live streams over at twitch.tv/LJGG. I'm extremely active with chat and would love to chat with some of you. As always, I hope you guys all have an amazing day, and I will see you on the next video. My name is LJ, and this has been Battle Royale Guides.